Good morning and welcome to Real Talk. I'm Claudia of Claudia's Door Decor, and joining me today is Misty of Little Luxuries. Good morning.
Good morning, Claudia. Hey, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. Misty, can you go ahead and give us an introduction? Let us know where you're located and where people can find you.
Absolutely. My name is Misty. I am the owner and wreath designer of Little Luxuries. I'm located in a small town in North Carolina, hence my southern accent that y'all all know I have. I have been in business since 2020. We'll get to that. I can be found on all the social media platforms, but it's a little bit different. You know me as Little Luxuries, but sometimes those names are taken on those platforms. So you will find me as Little Luxuries NC in all the places. So Pinterest, TikTok, Etsy, Instagram, Facebook, all those places, it's Little Luxuries NC.
And that's important to know to add the NC because there are little luxuries, obviously, like she said, because people do take the names and sometimes you just have to adjust and adapt. But that's how you can find our friend Misty. And as she said, she's located in a small town out of North Carolina. And if you are a wreath maker and she spends time with you on TikTok and you go anywhere near North Carolina and she finds out and you didn't say hello, she might get a little upset with you. Just an FYI. All right, Misty, we're going to go ahead and dive into all things that are important to you. And because of our conversation, the biggest thing that you said is priority to you is your nonprofit. So let's go ahead and start by sharing basically like what inspired your nonprofit. And the big thing is can people find your nonprofit? That's another thing. Is can people find your nonprofit? So go ahead and start sharing a little bit about that.
I'll do it. So, long story short, I'll try my best, y'all. My husband and I, about 13 years ago, started a nonprofit called Dream Align Ministries. And that name means to align your dreams with God's will for your life. So, something that's most important, other than wreath making, that you guys know about me, is serving there and being there. We have a food pantry, a clothing pantry, and a job resource center. And the reason that it was started is obviously we had a heart to serve others and to give back to our community. And so through the years, that has grown beyond our wildest dreams. And so we service about 400 to 500 families a month right here in our county. The beautiful thing about it is there's no paid staff. My husband and I don't get a paycheck. The volunteers that come in don't get a paycheck. So everybody that's there is there for a common purpose, and it's to serve and love others. So we've been doing that for so long now, and we love it. And so when you hear me, sometimes I'll say, "Well, I just got back from the food pantry." That explains a little bit about what I'm doing. We have food rescue days where we're actually partnered with some grocery stores and stuff that would go in their dumpsters come to our pantry. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but we're able to give people fresh produce and meats and desserts and breads and all the things that you and I would like to have when we go to the grocery store. We're able to give that to our families.
Okay, let me pause you for a second because I'm sure that several people are like, okay, so food rescue. Okay, so a lot of people don't understand what that means because, like you said, there is nothing wrong with it. The grocery stores are mandated and governed that they have to have certain criteria for the food that they sell. So could you talk a little bit about that so that people are aware of it?
Absolutely. So there are sell by dates. You guys know when you go to the grocery store, you see the dates on the packages of things. And for example, we use today, it'll say sell by today's date. Those grocery stores have to pull that off of their shelves. There's regulations by state and government, and they are required to do so. If they're not linked in with food pantries or community places, that ends up going in the trash can, guys. And I'm talking about stuff that has absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly good. It's just part of the regulations. So we actually go and pick those up from our local grocery stores. And you guys wouldn't believe the amount of food. When I say food rescue, that's actually taken into our pantry, and we serve people with that, and they absolutely love it. You got to think about it.
Because, like you said, there's nothing wrong with the food. but the grocery store can't sell it. So rather than it going to the garbage, this is what Misty does with her nonprofit is she goes and rescues that food so that families that need that food can have food. So I love that. I absolutely love that. So what type of food items do you normally distribute? These aren't are they like it could be an arrangement, right? An array of food. So it could be produce, like you said. So
Non-perishable. We
yeah.
also are linking. We help one of our local families. It's a mom, dad, and two kiddos that have some chickens. So we have eggs that we purchase from them to help their family out to teach the kiddos about farm life too. So we have eggs, we have meats, breads, desserts, anything that you would want when you go grocery shopping. We try to get that to our families. And so, as you know, sometimes with food pantries, fresh produce and things like that's unheard of. So we are so fortunate to have those grocery stores that will give that to us.
Yeah.
And, our family love having that. We think about it when we go to our refrigerators, most of us, we can open up the doors, there's food there, there's things for us to eat. And when we first got into this years ago, I had never really seen hunger, but I did get to see that up close and personal. And you wouldn't think that we have that much of an issue, but we really do. We really do. And so folks love being able to have that food. They really do. All
So
different life, all different circumstances.
so with what, because I love that your husband is in the comments because he's actually answering some of the questions, which is fantastic. Thank you so much, Jesse. We love that you're here. How do you, so here's more questions based on that because I have actually volunteered. If you've never volunteered for a food pantry, if you've never seen the amount of food that is thrown out that there's nothing wrong with, it just gives you a different perspective. But I know there's a lot of questions. So how do you ensure that the food you provide is nutritious and meets dietary standards? Like that's part of it too.
A lot of what we have, obviously, is shelf stable milks. We have the vegetables. Everything that's fresh that comes in is the same fruits and vegetables you and I would buy if we were having a healthy lifestyle. So that's given to our families. Obviously, the eggs. Now, we have a lot of people that have kiddos. Of course, we're going to give out some cupcakes and some of that goodness too. We also give out recipe cards. And this was very interesting to me. I have to share a quick story. There was a young lady that came to the pantry, and I had given her a pack of pinto beans. Okay? If you've never truly fixed a pack of pinto beans, you may not know what to do with it. And she literally looked and she said, "What are these and what do I do with them?" And so we were able to give her a recipe card and talk to her about, hey, this is pinto beans. You can make this pot of beans. And honestly, you can eat on this for a couple days. Like, this is really good and it's healthy. They just needed to be educated on how to fix it. So that's the really cool part too, is educating people on how to fix those healthy foods and being able to do that once you give it to them. Because some folks weren't brought up to know how to do that. We assume people know how to do that, but honestly they don't. And she did that the next month and she's like, we ate off of that bowl of beans, like for 2 days. And she was so excited. So just teaching those skills too.
And it's healthy, like you said, it's healthy because like you said, if you don't know what you don't know. So education is part of it as well. So can individuals access the food pantry or is this by referral?
Oh, we get referrals, but it's open to everyone. It is open to everyone. Of course, we are linked in with our school social workers. So they are aware of their family situations. So they refer out to us. Obviously, if someone has a house fire or some circumstance that lands them where they need to be with us, they know that we're there. I mean, we've been there for 13 years now. So people know, they're like, hey, we can contact the folks at Dream Align and they'll be able to help us. So word of mouth has really spread this more than anything. We're not really so much in the media as much and things like that. It's just kind of like if you need us, we're there.
Right.
And then obviously through lots of prayer, the Lord sent us some wonderful volunteers.
So do you also help individuals who maybe don't know how to get assistance? Do you help them with that as well?
We do. And we actually have a pamphlet of all kinds of things: shelter, housing, utility help, other food pantries in the county, that are open as well. We have all of that we can provide. So, yeah, absolutely. We have that pamphlet out and we help them to find other resources.
So, how do you ensure, and this is a big thing, guys, the dignity and respect of the individuals accessing the food pantry?
Great question. Stories. I look them in their eye, and they'll tell me most of the time. You can tell by their behavior if they're embarrassed. I tell them a story of when I was young and my mother visited a food pantry and how we had to eat from a food pantry, and that's one of the reasons that my husband and I started this mission. I tell them that there's nothing to be embarrassed about, that we all need help, that it doesn't have to be with food, it doesn't have to be with clothing. I need help too, it's just in different ways, and that they need to hold their head up, that they matter, they're valued, and we're here to help them. So by sharing a story and simply coming alongside somebody and saying, look, I know where you've been. I've been there with my mom, and just sharing and looking them in their eyes and telling them that they're worth something, it makes a big difference, Claudia, just for them to know that you genuinely care for them.
I know, and I love that. And that's why I asked the question because it is important. Just really quick, in my community, we have a little, like literally a little, it's a piece of furniture, it's a hutch that they have placed right outside our local grocery store. And people put, like, as they leave food in there. It's anonymous. Nobody has to know your need, but you can go grab food and nobody needs to know. So that's what they've done in this community because they saw a need for that. But there's integrity to it, guys, and nobody wants to feel like a charity, and that's huge for people, right? So can you walk me through a typical day or week at the food pantry?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So we are open to the public Mondays and Fridays. That's why you don't see me a lot on Mondays and Fridays. So from the time of our time, Eastern Standard Time, 10 to 12, we're there serving families. Now through the week, let's say that there's an emergency and a family needs something. Of course, my husband and I are through the week to help. Or American Red Cross says, hey, we've got somebody burned out of their home. Can you help? Of course, we're going to do that. But we're open to the public Monday and Friday. Our food rescue days are Sundays and Thursdays. And then also through the week, sorting, doing food drives. So you can kind of see, like, it takes a lot of time. But I tell people it's so rewarding. And they'll say, oh, well, you help people, you help me. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. You help me so much more than I could ever help you. Guys, I come home, I have shelter, I have a refrigerator full of food, I have a bed to lay down in. All of the things sometimes that we can easily take for granted, that opens my eyes. And just the heartfelt conversations, being able to pray for folks, being able to hear their stories, people I would not otherwise cross paths with, hands down, they help me so much more than I could ever help them. It is very rewarding. I encourage everybody in some capacity, volunteer. Get with the people in your state and your location because there's agencies out there, they love your help, and you can get to know some great folks.
So let me ask you this: how do you involve volunteers in your food pantry and basically in Dream Align? How do you involve volunteers?
Well, our volunteers become family to us. Now, that sounds really cliche, and I know some people might insert the eye roll and think, yeah, right. No, really. We're together already. You got to think 2 times a week. We have cookouts for these folks. We love these folks. We pray for these folks. They are with us through good times and bad times. We truly live life together. And for us, that is community. That is very important. That's how we serve folks. That's how we love folks. For us, that's how we show folks the love of Christ. I don't force my beliefs on anybody, but it's my hope when they come to our pantry that they know, hey, this food isn't from us. We're just vessels, and that they can see Christ's love in us. So for us, the volunteers are the heartbeat of our organization. Truly, we could not do it without our volunteers, and we're so fortunate to have known them and to live life with them. Cookouts, fun stuff.
So this is all the good stuff, right? This is all the good stuff and all the things that you've seen in the lives that you've touched. But that doesn't come without challenges. What are some of the challenges that you face?
When food is low. Sometimes with food pantries, everybody has good heart intentions. Thanksgiving, Christmas, people really love to give and donate, and we appreciate that. But sometimes summer months, kids are out of school, and people just forget. It's not that they don't have good heart intentions, but sometimes when that food is low, but we never go without. The Lord always provides for us. But, sometimes that's a challenge. Sometimes people are challenging. Sometimes we have folks that come in and they're a challenge. They really are. But once you can actually talk to them, look them in their eyes and say, look, you seem like something's wrong. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to judge you. Can we talk? I'm going to tell you that 99% of the time, Claudia, they change within that conversation. And they end up actually saying, you know what, I'm so sorry. I was embarrassed to be here. I didn't want to be here. But people are people.
But
People are people.
there is, guys, we joke and say we're hangry, okay? There is nothing beyond starvation. Like there is nothing, nobody can explain that to you. That is far deeper than being hangry. So there's something, if you've never gone without food, the understanding of it isn't truly there. So to volunteer, to give of your time, to spend time with people, especially if you love people, especially if that is just your heart for people. Like Misty said, volunteer. There is always a need for volunteers in any local food pantry. They're all over the place. Definitely, we encourage you to volunteer. Somebody in the chat asked if you get grants. Do you have grants that help you with your services? So go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
My husband's the guru. Jesse, you guys call him Mr. Little Luxuries. He is behind the scenes. He works really hard. He is fantastic at that. We do have some grants that come in. And it's honestly local community support. It's amazing. We just had a postal food drive Mother's Day weekend that sustains our pantry. And that is literally where the post office collects food. In addition to doing all of their tasks, getting the mail, delivering the mail, they pick up food that the community leaves at their mailboxes, and it comes into our pantry. Thousands of pounds of food, guys.
Yeah.
That's because of community support.
Yeah.
So, things like that are very helpful. We have some anonymous donors, some family members that want to help, but it's just amazing. And, if you don't have time to volunteer, here's something. Give somebody a can of corn.
Yeah.
Give somebody a can of corn, or pasta or something.
Well, now that they have those, like the flip top cans rather than having to have a can of, that's been huge. Like those are the cans that I buy. I'm like, if it has an easy tap to open, I'm like, yes, definitely getting those because it is easier.
And we don't think about this. If you're not in a food pantry, you might not think about some of the homeless population. They don't have a way to open stuff. So it is so helpful and advantageous if you have those pops, just things you learn being in a food pantry, but that's great. It really is. I always say, if you can't volunteer your time, give somebody a can of corn. They'll be good.
Give them a can of corn. Just say from Misty.
That's right. That's right.
So how do you measure the impact that this has had in the community?
We don't care about numbers. And I know that sounds crazy because a lot of times you hear about nonprofits that do. And that's fine. That's their business. They can do that. We don't. We just want to love folks. We want to serve folks. They trust us now. We've been here, getting old. We've been there for like 13 years. And, when we started this, I'm 44 years young. We were young. We had no clue what we were doing. We just knew we wanted to do something. So we don't really go by numbers. I mean, I can tell you, we serve 400, 500 families a month. That doesn't matter to us. We just want to help, And so
but with that, what are some memorable moments or some success stories that have come? There you go. Pick one, Misty. I know there's a ton, but some memorable moments or success stories.
I'm going to talk about a family, dear friends of ours. It was a family that had 5 children, and they were homeless when we met them. They came into our pantry for a while to get food. And we noticed them. They were always so polite, so kind. We didn't even know they were homeless, guys. Truly. Like, you would have never known. Got to know mom and dad really well. Got to know their kiddos. And just started talking to them about life. They love Jesus. So did we. That's common ground. So we already had that established. And we just started pouring into them. And in return, they poured into us, and we developed this friendship. And now they have their own small business. They're not homeless. They live in a beautiful home. They have learned how to budget. They have learned how to come off of government assistance, and they are thriving. And That is a huge success story. I mean, it just makes me so happy to think about them because they did it. They understood. They needed somebody to come alongside of them and just say, "Hey, here's how you do that. Here's how you budget that. Here's how you start a small business. Hey, do you have a website? You're really good at this. Have you thought about doing X, Y, and Z?" And as small business owners, if you are one, there's a lot of hats you wear.
Yeah.
Come alongside somebody and just teach them how to do it. And that is a huge success story. So that makes my heart happy. One more. A lady, domestic violence issue, husband wasn't the kindest. We'll leave it at that. Her and her son ended up living in their car. They were bathing at truck stops, etc. They're now sustained. They now have shelter. Mom has a great job. Son is doing great at school. That's another success story. And I mean, I could keep going on and on.
Absolutely. But those are the things, okay? Now, and none of this, as if you're listening, none of this is overnight. None of this is overnight. This is called investing in your community. And Misty says this a lot. She will give you a hand up. She'll give anybody a hand up. Go ahead and share.
Hand up, not a handout. You guys hear me even when I'm telling you stuff about wreath making. I will tell you, listen, I can tell you what to do, but you've got to do it. It's no different for our families. Okay, some are in horrible situations. Some of these folks have never had somebody look at them and tell them that they matter. Okay, so they come from really hard situations. I can pour into them. However, that person has to be receptive, has to take the steps. If I want to help you with a resume, you better show up and let me help you with a resume. If I'm telling you how to dress for an interview for success, show up for that. Go do everything that I'm telling you to do. Do we have folks that won't do it? Absolutely, we do. Do I judge them? No. They're just going to stay right where they are. So a hand up, not a handout. And I often say, hey, I could sit and feed you fish all day, but if I teach you how to fish, right, you can sustain that for yourself. And it's the same principle in everything in life. Food pantry or not, I can give you the tools, but you got to use them.
So again, we started with this conversation, this part of the conversation of who Misty is as a person, because you all know her as a wreath maker, but this is near and dear to her heart. And we brought this up first so that you all are well aware and could be thinking of getting involved in your own community. Guaranteed, if you look, you will find a mission. Somebody has a food pantry out there. Somebody is trying to help those that are in need. So what would you say to somebody who maybe wants to get involved in something like this in their own community?
Do it. Don't get in your own mind about it. It's not hard. It's volunteer work. They're going to welcome you, hopefully. They're going to welcome you, and just find your place. Okay, let's say you volunteer somewhere and it's just not your cup of tea. Go somewhere else. Also, if there's not something in your community, perhaps you could be willing to start something. It doesn't have to be a food pantry. Whatever you have on your heart, how you want to help others. Maybe you're the one that needs to do it if it's not in your area. But I just encourage you to get out of your own head. It is so rewarding, and you really will enjoy yourself. And on top of that, you're helping others. And
you're helping others with this is a basic need. This is a basic need that you can help with. And think about it this way. There's no way you can do this by yourself. There's no way that you could do this by yourself. But if you yourself are a good, resourceful person and can look stuff up and research stuff and figure stuff out and can get with other people in your community that say, you know what, I want to be a part of that too. That's how it starts. That's how it starts. All right, Misty. Does anybody have any questions about nonprofit, food pantry, ministry, anything like that that you would like to ask Misty? I'm going to go through the comments. Jessie has been amazing in answering people's questions in the comments, so thank you, Jessie. Actually, go ahead and talk about your husband while I look through the comments.
My husband, Jesse, Mr. Little Luxuries is what some of you call him. I love him. He's my best friend. We have been married for 19 years, 20 next year in June, but we've been together for almost 24 years. So I have known life with my husband longer than life without my husband. He is behind the scenes for Little Luxuries. He's the one that sends out my newsletters. He's the one that fixes all the technological issues, because unless it's a battery that needs to be changed in a mouse, I'm not doing that. I don't have that skill set. He built my wreath stand that you guys see me do my lives on. He is my biggest fan. I mean, truly, he encourages me. He does anything I need him to do. We're looking to find a way to store my grapevines better. And he's already has this vision, and he's like, what do you think about this? I'll build this. He's my rock. He really is. I can't encourage people enough. If you have a spouse that will support you, let them into your wreath world. Let them know what happens. You know, they can probably help you with stuff, maybe not making a bow. As much as I love my hubby, he does not need to make bows. Wreaths. I know you guys have talked about that, but I don't think that's his skill set.
We might just have to do that one day, because it'll be interesting what tools they bring. Because Kevin's talking about using a screwdriver or a drill, and I'm like, you know what? You bring what you think you need to bring to make whatever happen. So we might need to do that one day still. Just maybe. Okay, so once again, give the name of your nonprofit so that people.
Dream Align, and that's DreamAlign. My southern accent, I've learned to spell things for my friends, y'all. But it's Dream Align Ministries.
And can they look it up? Can they find it? Okay, so you can look it up. Look at that. You can look it up. Is it a .com?
It is www.dreamalignministries.com. And we're out of Graham, North Carolina. So that'll help narrow it down just a little bit. So,
so you are a .com. That's awesome. All right, guys. So we're going to go into now how we know Misty. So let's talk about basically getting into wreath making for you. Looks a little bit different than for a lot of people, because your sister is a florist. So talk about that and what led you into wreath designing.
Perfect. I've always loved to make things. I have a big family, so I have 4 siblings. I have a brother and 3 sisters. And one of my sisters is extremely crafty. Her home is beautiful. She makes everything. And me being the baby, I always looked up to my older sisters. And she kind of took me under her wing, and we would make things together, and wreaths being one of them, arrangements, things like that. And of course, when I got my own home, I really went over the top with making things, and she would help me. So the first person that really encouraged me to make things was my older sister. And now, to this day, she's a florist. So that just fits appropriately, right? Fast forward a little bit. I'd always loved to make things, and you guys always hear me talk about how I used to be in dentistry. And I did for a long time. For over 22 years, I worked in dentistry, so teeth all the time. And COVID hit in 2020, as you guys know. And for the first time in my life, I was furloughed from my dental position for months, guys. The world shut down, and so did we. Being in somebody's mouth and all of that, we didn't know what we were dealing with. So I still needed to provide meaningful income for my family, and I thought, what are we going to do? Plus, I've worked my whole life. I've worked since I was 14 years old.
Okay, if I let her go on, she's going to have a conversation all by herself. So we're going to reel her in a little bit, and so I can ask questions to prompt her. But seriously, if you ever want to talk to Misty, ask her. She'll talk. She will definitely talk. But we love that about you, Misty. So you shared that you were in dentistry and that you were furloughed for the first time in your life, and you needed to provide meaningful income for your family. And oftentimes when you do go live on TikTok, you do share about that. So really quick, so you go live once a week religiously at a certain time. So go ahead and share that so people know when to watch you.
Yes. I am live on TikTok on Tuesdays at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. That is my set time. Unless an emergency comes up or something changes, that is when you can find me on TikTok to make a new design, a wreath. So always. Now, I may pop in on TikTok other times, but that's my set schedule.
Or when you have collaborations, you do share when you do a collaboration and what time you will come on. So that's good. Excuse me. I have postnasal drip. It's awful. Anyway, so once you started designing wreaths and knew that you were going to make this, it started out as a in addition to, not a full-time thing. So talk about what it was like having both a full-time job as well as a wreath making business.
Hard. I don't know another way to put it. Once I started to be successful, which didn't take long, so once that started to happen, I would literally get up at 5 a.m. and my day would stop sometimes at 11 p.m. And I kid you not, it was very, very difficult. But as I started to do this more, I knew I had a dream and I knew I wanted to do this. So through lots of prayer, really prayed through, hey, what am I going to have to do to make this work full time? And but it took a lot. It took a lot. When I say blood, sweat, and tears, literally, when I look at you guys and say there's nothing small about a small business, it's just the truth. It was hard work. It was late nights. It was giving up family time. It was working the weekends. It was hard,
Yeah.
but so worth it because
Yeah.
I knew.
Pause, 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 girlfriend. Girlfriend, I love you. I love you, but I knew this is going to be part of how we do this, guys, just so you know, because Misty's passionate about everything that she does, especially the things that she gives her time to, which is what she's building. So we love you, and just know that I'm just going to pull you in just so I can ask questions, because I mean, this could be just a conversation that you have with yourself. I have some good questions. All
Yeah.
right. So, reeling it back in, it was a lot of work doing both. It was constant. You were building something as well as still providing for your family. So, at what point, and this, because I'm in this, and I get emotional because I'm in this right now, because it means so much to me. I want this so badly. At what point did you have the confidence and courage to then say, it's time? It's time to go full time, all in to your wreath business.
Lots of prayer and complete transparency. Should have done it before I did it. If
You
that
should have done it before you did it. Okay. Okay.
took a lot of, oh my goodness, I carry the insurance. Oh my goodness, there's not that steady paycheck. Oh my goodness. So for Misty and my story, it was lack of faith.
Oh,
Truly,
wow.
because
Okay.
I had been told, do it. It's time. Do it. So, of course, you plan. Of course, you want to build up your business. Of course, you want to have consistent sales. Of course, you want to make sure you've got income coming in. Like that all has to make sense, right? We have to be smart with our decisions. Fear stopped me from doing it when I really should have done it sooner. Um,
So
and
that's honest,
yes,
that's transparent, and that's authentic. Because what you're talking about is the reason why so many of us continue to do what we know. Like and the funny thing is, Misty, and I kick myself 24/7 with this, I know that God is faithful. I know that God will provide. I know that when He tells me it's time, I need to be obedient so that I can then be blessed. So, even knowing that and knowing your faith and knowing how you believe what you believe in God's guidance and provision and everything else, the fact that you had fear makes me feel a little bit more normal.
mhm,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. I would say if you're in that situation and you didn't have a little bit of that, but then I had to talk to myself and say, hey, faith and fear require the same amount of energy. And I really had to really self analyze, lots of prayers and encouragement. Once again, I told you from my best friend, my husband, saying, you can do this. I believe in you. Let's go. Let's get this done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just stepping out on faith. Now, obviously, don't do that if you haven't sold a wreath yet.
Right. No,
But
I know. I agree. No, and I agree. And the truth of the matter is when you're that busy, and I think that's part of it, when you're that busy, because you heard her say her wreath business had taken off. She was working diligently because her wreath business had taken off. So I think there's a difference in, oh, let me just put my faith in this. And I haven't heard from God, but let me just say, I'm putting it in your hands, God, but I haven't sold a wreath yet. No, that's not what we're saying. that is not what we're saying. There has to be certain other things and other factors. Somebody asked in the chat, is this my confirmation? No, this is not my personal confirmation. No, ma'am. This is not my personal confirmation. I am still building. I am still getting the traction, and I'm listening to my friends more. I am listening on branching out my talents. So that part I am listening to. But I'll let you know, friends. No worries. I'll let you know. All right, Misty. So how do you balance the creative aspects of wreath making and the business side to be sustainable?
That's right. There are so many hats being a small business owner. Literally, Claudia knows this. I'm a type A personality. I'm very OCD. That works to my advantage being a small business owner. It's called scheduling, prioritizing. Okay, at this hour, I'm going to do social media posts. At this hour, I'm going to do a new design. At this hour, I'm working on Etsy listings. Okay, you get the gist. You literally have to really plan ahead. You have to be scheduled. Sure, would it be nice to wake up and not start till 2 p.m. because I wanted to sit in my jammies and watch TV? Yes, but are you serious about this? Is this your full-time business? You're the one that if you're not doing something, you're not going to hear cha-chings. You're not going to make any, cookies, if you will. So you have to make sure that you're really focusing and being very scheduled.
But that's the thing, and this is why Misty shares that, is because without that, you are not doing the things that your business needs to grow and thrive. That is why she's sharing that. It is time management. And you don't necessarily have to be OCD in order to have time management, but you do have to be a self-starter. You can't just wait for things to happen or try one thing and say, oh, it didn't work. I guess it's not going to happen. That's not logical, right?
Right.
So with that being said, though, there are demands for wreaths throughout the year and they fluctuate. How do you handle that seasonal fluctuation in sales?
Great question. I am fortunate enough that I don't really have a fluctuation. What ends up happening is something called fourth quarter. And all my wreath making friends, you know what that means. That means that your regular sales are now on steroids and they're up here. What has helped me balance that during those times when sales are truly what I call a blessing but out of control, if you will, at the same time, I extend my shipping times. Give yourself grace. If you're doing this alone and you don't have employees or staff members, you are one person. Take a deep breath. It's a handmade product. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to extend my shipping times out because you don't want to burn out or not take care of yourself. That will only last for so long, friends. So I just say take a deep breath and extend out your shipping times. That was huge for me to learn. You cannot crank out 40 wreaths in a day.
But you heard her. She had to learn it, guys.
Absolutely.
She had to learn it. So understand that everybody who has had these successes have had a starting point where they had to learn. Crying, remember she said tears, crying, frustration, overwhelming, all of these things are true. That's why you need support. We'll talk about that more later, but that is why you need support. Okay, so what strategies have you found have helped your business with the marketing and promoting to attract new customers?
Okay, I'm going to drop a pearl. This is very important. I don't care if you're a wreath maker, if you're a jewelry maker, if you are a business owner, social media, it is your friend. Guys, you have to post every single day. I mean that. Every single day. You need to be in all the places. Now, let me back up just a little bit. That doesn't mean all the places at one time.
Right.
That means if you're starting out, start with one platform. Let's just use TikTok because we're on here right now. Start with that platform. Learn the ins and outs of it. Post consistently every day. And once you do that, you get comfortable. It doesn't take a lot of time anymore like when you first start. Okay, great. Now we've mastered that. Let's move to something else. Okay? And start to do the same thing. every single day. Think about it. Social media is free advertising. So if you're not using it, that's exposure to how many people? And it takes time to build those audiences. But I would say one of the huge things is do it every single day. And that doesn't mean that you have to be on your phone if you want to take Saturday off or Sunday off. There are scheduling apps that still make it possible for that post to go out on that Saturday or that Sunday. So there's no excuses, friends. You got to do it every day. Every day. That's
All
one
right,
thing.
so you did hear that she said no excuses. You want Misty in your corner, just so you know, so that she can look at you and say, hey, no excuses. All right, so that's marketing and promotion. And you can share as much or as little of the next question I'm going to ask you. But the pricing of your wreaths to ensure that you're both profitable and competitive. What strategy do you use to figure that out for your business?
Great question. I have a spreadsheet that already has the formulas worked out. Guys, I know what a drop of glue costs. And if you are a business owner, you should too. A drop of glue. Seriously.
A drop of glue.
Down to a piece of floral wire. And people think, oh man, that's crazy. No, it's not. It's crazy if you're not doing it.
Right.
You are a business owner. You are making beautiful handmade products that take your time, your talent, your energy. You should be compensated for it. So for me, there again, had to learn, take all the meaning out of it. It is what it is, right? You're worth what you're charging. So I literally, when you first start out, you may not be comfortable charging 3 times. Maybe it's 2 times what you're working with. I still do 2 times. That's a personal business decision. But make sure you're calculating all of your supplies, your time, all of that goes into it. Your listing fees if you're selling on a platform that requires that.
So what she's saying is 2 times, which means you calculate the price of everything that goes into the wreath. Everything, including that drop of glue, that floral wire, that zip tie, everything that she's saying, all the things, and then she times it by 2. So that is what she's saying is part of the price. And I know that there's a lot of questions. She keeps pushing for 3 times. Jessie, I'm telling you, she will get there when she's comfortable, when she's ready. I promise you she will get there. But just so you know, these are definite things that you as wreath makers need to know and do for your own business. And that is what I'm so grateful that Misty's able to share that with you. So can you share tips on managing expenses and overhead costs associated with running a full-time wreath business?
Absolutely can. You have to. I'm sorry, you have to. Budget is not a question. You need to know what goes in your product, what it costs, and if you're not going to pick that up locally, you need to incorporate your shipping cost. And guys, I know we all love ribbons. I have a problem too. I'm a wreath maker. But all jokes aside, use what you have, especially starting out. Sure, you want all of the beautiful, pretty things you see all your friends with. You have that fear of missing out maybe. Don't do that. Don't do that. Buy supplies for maybe 2 or 3 wreaths if you are just starting out. When they sell, go buy stuff for 4 wreaths this time. You will get to a point when you are successful and full time where you can go to these wholesalers and you can start to buy more. But budgeting is very important. How much does this cost to make? What is my profit? How much am I going to put back into my business? How much am I going to pay myself? Those kinds of things are real important questions that you have to start right off the cuff. Right. You should start that from day one when you're a business owner. It'll make all the difference. And right. For a little while, maybe you want to put everything back in your business. If you're able to do that, let's say you have a spouse that's working as well and bringing in income, wonderful. But eventually you're going to want to pay yourself too. So
yeah, and that's part of it as well, as far as figuring out whether it's time for you to be full-time or not, is can the business also sustain itself? It's not just about paying yourself, but it's also the business has to pay for itself. So I 100% agree with that. So you specialize in a certain type of wreath, which you have found is what you enjoy and it brings you the most joy to make. Do you like how do you branch out from that? Do you offer or push yourself to do different style wreaths so that you can expand on that, or do you are you happy just making one style wreath? That's what you're specializing in. So share a little bit about that.
Obviously, you guys that know me know my passion's grapevines. Love florals. Look behind me. Love grapevines. Like, truly, I always say that's my jam. Literally, it is. Do I make mesh wreaths? Yes, I do. I do make them. Do I force myself to make them? Yes, I do. Do you know why? Because there's customers out there who love mesh wreaths. And I can add some florals into the mesh. I also, even though you guys don't see me do it a lot, love to do centerpieces, love to do garlands, love to do lantern swags, love to do all those other things. So yes, to answer your question, I do. I can stretch out of the grapevine thing and go into mesh and things like that. But my
You
heart really,
also inspire those of us that make the mesh wreaths to also break out of that and try other things, which I am so incredibly grateful for. So incredibly grateful for. So here's the next question about inspiration. Where do you find inspiration to stay creative in what you do?
great question. I go and look at florals. Sounds crazy, friends, but I will literally go on websites and think, man, I really think that ribbon would look beautiful with these peonies. Oh, I really like the way that goes with those garden roses. And just time and experience, you'll start to notice, hey, I want to put that blue with that yellow. That's going to be amazing. And it's just honestly training your mind. The more that you do it, the more that you practice, the better you become at it. Perfection's overrated. Throw out the rule book. You're the designer. But the more that you do that, the more ideas come up. So websites help me so much. When I'm looking at Craft Outlet, for example, and I'm like, man, or Creek Road Designs TX, and I'm like, look at that sign and all of those colors. My mind just starts going. And that comes with time and experience, of course. When you first start out, it can be a little overwhelming, but the more
Yes.
you do it, the more that'll speak to you.
So for somebody who is just starting out and they think to themselves, that's never going to be me. That doesn't come easy to me. I don't know, fill in the blank. What would you say to somebody that is just starting out and is struggling in that aspect? Like they're barely learning technique, and then you add all the other factors of being able to match ribbon or create a design that's cohesive. Do you have any tips for that?
Watch your wreath making friends. Watch your wreath making friends. I've learned so much just from watching other wreath designers on TikTok. They're there. Pay attention to what they're doing. Okay, perhaps they're not teachers. Perhaps they just want to talk to you and they're making a wreath. You can still kind of see what they're putting together, how they're doing that, how they're using their glue. There's free resources. Hello, we live in a world of technology. Get on there and look around. Type in, how do I do a grapevine wreath? You'll be amazed what'll pull up and the resources that you can have right at your fingertips that you do not have to pay for, friends. And just start to watch it. And the biggest thing is just try it. And you guys hear me all the time give the pearl, if in doubt, rip it out. Guys, I do that. I've been making wreaths now for years, and I'll put something in, and I'm like, well, that looks terrible. Nope. Just tear it out. Seriously, just try it. And the more
Yeah,
you
and
do
if you watch Misty on Tuesdays at 11:30 Eastern Time here on TikTok, she does share all these pearls, and you can watch her truly focus more on she teaches as she does. I don't know if you guys have realized that she really does teach and shares pearls as she does her designs. So if you want to watch and learn from somebody, I do recommend that you watch her here on TikTok. I really do wholeheartedly. I love Misty to death and I respect her as a designer and as a friend, but she truly is really good at teaching. I can attest to that. She's awesome. She'll claim she's not a guru, but she is very experted in what she does. So she is an expert. So that's all I'm going to say about that before I get all emotional and stuff. So the other thing about wreath making is the logistics, right? So when you are a wreath maker and you may not sell locally, so you're then looking for other avenues to sell your items. And you start thinking about, hey, I don't know how to ship. Like shipping keeps a lot of people, oh, it's scary. It's scary to ship something out in hopes that the person picking up your item is going to be as loving and careful with your package to get it all the way from point A to point B. So, what is some advice that you can give for those people that maybe won't sell anything online based on that reason because the fear is there? So, can you share a little bit of insight in that?
Absolutely. Friends, my first box I shipped, I prayed over, literally. I was like, Dear Lord, please let UPS get this where it's going. I had no idea what I was doing. Try it. Also, I'm going to tell you, if you type in how to ship a wreath, you'll be amazed the resources at no charge to you will come up. Once again, I encourage you to watch your wreath making friends. A lot of us want to help you. We don't want you to have to stumble through what we did. But some tips I would give you on shipping: make sure you have the right size box. You do that by making sure that you're measuring all angles of your wreath. And then you need a box just a little bit bigger so your wreath won't be crushed. Make sure you're using tape and taping down everything securely. Another little pearl I'll give to you is make sure that you're tying down your wreath somehow in that shipping box. Because as we all know, sometimes those carriers can be rough on our boxes, friends. But you want to make sure that you tie it down, whether that's with pipe cleaners or zip ties, whatever works for you. Make sure you're securing it to the box. Don't let that stop you. We all have been there. I promise we were all scared to ship that first wreath.
We all have been. I mean, everybody can raise their hand if they've sold a wreath and had to ship it out. Yeah, that is very, very nerve wracking. Nerve wracking. So when the customer then receives their package and you're sitting there going, okay, I know it's there. I know they got it. I want to know how they loved it. Like, because you don't get to see them open your box. Not like when we get our resupplies and we're doing an unboxing where we're showing our expression. So, what role does customer feedback and satisfaction play in the success of your wreath business?
It's amazing. Guys, those customer reviews are incredible. Nothing does my heart good for somebody to send a picture and say, I love how this looks on my door. You made that with your hands. And so I am still just amazed, honored, humbled. Reviews are huge. Don't be scared to ask folks, especially if you know them. A good way when you're starting out, if it's your family and friends that got that wreath from you, say, hey, if you really love it, would you mind leaving me a review? They'll do it. And the other thing that starts when other people that are strangers that you don't know, that you are selling to, see those reviews, it helps you. So I encourage that. Another little pearl I'll give to you: handwritten cards go a long way, friends. I know some people will eye roll again and say, oh, that's so old school. No, it makes a difference. Write them a little note. If it's not a card, write it on the box and just say, hey, thank you so much for supporting my small business. Tell them thank you.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So do you? I'm trying to formulate the question in my head because it wasn't one I wrote down. Do you send the customer a message through Etsy saying, "Hey, hi, I see you got your wreath. I hope it met your needs and satisfaction." Do you do that? No.
No news is good news. Friends, don't
Okay.
go for bad news. There
Okay.
is an email that I have set up automatically in my shop that says, thank you so much for purchasing from me. You know, I'll do a great job for you. I'm paraphrasing here. Thank you so much for choosing me. Your wreath will arrive soon. There is a thank you card in every single box. Guys, I don't care if they're buying one bow or they're buying 10 wreaths. They're going to get a thank you card from me that's handwritten that says thank you. If you have any questions, reach out to me. It's got a business card in it. And then hopefully they leave a review. And it's been really amazing because most of my customers will leave a review. And
Yes.
really,
They
really
will.
good. But I want to put a little caveat in there. Reviews don't define you.
No, they
Have I
don't.
ever gotten a bad review? Yeah. Has it ever been bogus? Absolutely. It was not true. You know, it was a beautiful item, one that I'd received rave reviews on before. And it used to just crush me to my core, guys. I want to encourage you, don't let a review do that to you. some people are not going to, even if you reach out to them, they're not going to change it or amend it. You're not going to change their mind, but it doesn't define who you are.
Right. And that's true. And that's true of everything if you think about it. Somebody's going to have an opinion and it might just not be a good one. It's okay. You don't have to agree with it. So here's something that I know that I've shared with you, but I don't know how much thought you put into it. So if you need to pause a moment before you answer, feel free to do so. Have you explored diversifying your revenue streams beyond selling wreaths, such as offering workshops or tutorials?
I hear you, Claudia. Yes, I have. I have actually been asked a bunch, which there again, I'm so thankful and humble. People say, hey, I will pay you to teach me how to do something. Friends, I struggle with that. I just want to share pearls. I want to do that. Some things that I have considered for additional revenue streams, I'm not going to say the word, but YT channel, you know where I'm going with that. I've thought about that because, as you guys know, that can be a different source of revenue for sure. Teaching, I'm not going to say never. I've learned to say never. So maybe. How's that? How's that? Maybe a tutorial. Maybe a tutorial. I know one of very talented wreath makers, Yashira, did a tutorial recently. Maybe something like that I would consider for something, you know, people may want to learn to make, but I don't know.
Right. Look at Jesse over there with affiliate links are next too. Smart. That is smart, especially when you're using stuff that you purchase and you know you're promoting somebody else. That is wise, Jesse. Good avenue. All right, so challenges of self-employment, such as healthcare, retirement planning, financial stability. You don't have to share deep into that, but I know that that's often a reason why people stay away from jumping into something that is so unknown, because that's all it is. It's just we don't know what we don't know, so it keeps us from doing those things. But I am so sure that you and Jesse have figured that out so that it makes you still have that smile as those cha-chings are coming in. So if whatever you're willing to share.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. No problem. Do I still have a retirement plan? Absolutely. I do. You know, there's ways as being self-employed, many of you probably already know. There's avenues. Talk to someone that you trust, someone that your friend has that helps with their investment stuff. There's ways to still do that, and you can control it. You don't have to think, oh my goodness, I'm going to have all of this revenue to do that. No, you don't. They'll work with where you are, and then as you become more successful, they'll help you with that. So there's ways to still have IRAs and all of those things that you want to have for retirement. Insurance, don't let it be so scary. Do your research. You can do it. I promise. My husband and I are living proof that you can do it. You don't have to have someone else. You don't have to work for somebody else and not follow your dream to have insurance. So we figured that out as well.
It's one of those say it louder for the people in the back.
That's exact. So I just want to say that if it's important to you, you will find a way. Otherwise, you will make an excuse. And I talked to somebody out here today. If it's important, you're going to find a way. Save up money. Save up money before you stop your full-time job. I encourage that. Make sure you've got a little nest egg. But, you know, it's really hard. If you really want to do this and go full-time, and this is going to be, you're going to live out your dream, it's really hard to do that when you can only offer part-time hours. So I'm going to tell you, for a little bit, you can do that. To sustain that and to really chase your dream, there's absolutely positively no way. I'm looking right at, you know, everybody right now and telling you, I did it for a while. And then I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do this dream unless I step out on faith and I give this 100% and stop giving somebody else my 100%.
Yeah. Because you know what, guys? They can lay you off. They can let you go. They can kick you to the curb. There is no guarantee when you're working for somebody else. But when you're working for yourself,
that's right.
That's different. That's different.
There's so many advantages. Is it tough? You guys hear me tell you all the time, it's hard. I'm going to use the term again I said earlier. There's nothing small about small business. I say that for a reason. It's not. It's the hardest I've ever worked in my life. But I'm building my dream. I can be with my husband. I can prioritize what I want to do. I can go have coffee with a friend. I'm setting my own schedule. I'm living my dream. I'm not working for someone else and building their dream. So
Right.
you can do it too. You can do it too.
So everybody, anybody else convicted? Just raise your hand in the chat. Anybody else convicted? Because that happened to me just now. You saw me drop my head because she's not wrong. She's 100% right. And you need to tell yourself what duck needs to line up so that you can say adios, sayonara, goodbye. Okay, so just mental note. There's a lot of pearls being dropped here, folks. We're going to make a necklace. All right, next. Can you share any experiences or lessons learned from setbacks or obstacles you've encountered in building your wreath making business?
Oh my goodness, how much time do we have?
Well,
Sure.
I'll stop you if you go on too long.
Or setbacks, designs that don't work out. You think something's beautiful and you're like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a bestseller. Just going to hit the ground running. That sale's going to come in, and then there are like crickets. You hear nothing. Okay, cool. Brush yourself off. Either revise the design or scrap it completely and start over, but don't give up. Don't give up. Continue to push forward. So that's one thing, is when your design doesn't sell the way that you think that it's going to, that can be frustrating. I'm going to tell you another little thing. Stop looking around.
Yeah.
I had to tell myself this. There were other successful wreath makers who had been doing this for years. And here I am coming on the scene thinking, well, they're doing that. Well, they're doing that. So what? That's their story, their life. I'm living my dream. So stop comparing yourself to others will be very helpful, because otherwise that is a setback. Because before you know it, you're so busy looking around, you're not concentrating on what's right in front of your face, which is your dream, your story, and your empire to build, not somebody else's. So I would say don't do that. That's definitely a setback. Other setbacks, supplies. When you first start out, you don't have wholesale. That can be tough, right? Because you guys, and I know we'll talk about this, multiples. I say, oh, I make this wreath over and over and over again. Well, when you're starting out, you don't have that. Okay, cool. What do you have? Go to your big box store and start there. Relist when you can. Go back to the box store. Relist when you can. Don't let that set you back. Just because you don't have a sales and use tax and all of those things, you can still be successful shopping at a big box stores or craft outlet or whatever it is. So
just be wise. Just be wise. Listen to the people that are telling you how to shop and how to price your things. You're not giving the sales price, guys. If you got something on a sales price, you're pricing it for full price. Because if you need to make that again and you don't get it for sales price, you know what I mean? So listen to the people that tell you how to shop. That's gold. Put it in your pocket. It's gold.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Don't reinvent the wheel. That's what I would tell you. If you have people that have gone before you that are willing to share information, listen to them. Don't reinvent the wheel. So.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you prioritize work-life balance and family time while you're running a full-time business?
It's tough. It's something that I still am conquering. How's that? What I've started to do is say, after this time, no more. I'm going to spend time with my husband. I break up my work day some with a walk out in the sunshine. Sitting on my porch. Y'all know when you watch me, I say, I'm going to get some porch time in. I can't emphasize enough to you to do self-care. It is so important because burnout is real. I don't care how much I love these flowers behind me. I got to get out of this wreath shop. So 2 times a week, my husband and I go for a walk together outside. It's scheduled. Things don't interrupt that. Dinner time is dinner time. The phones are away from the table. I'm looking into his eyes. We're spending time together. Most of the time by food, he's prepared. How lucky am I? But truly, dinner time is dinner time.
Yeah.
And just setting boundaries. Take a day off. Take a day off.
Yeah.
You would do it if you were in corporate America. Why would you not do it for yourself? So take
breaks. Here's the thing. We look at Misty and say, she's talked about this a couple of times during her live, but she needs to plan a vacation. She needs to plan a vacation. But you heard about her nonprofit. That is the big thing. That is the real reason why the vacation takes thought and time to think about, because that food pantry needs to still run. Those families still need that food and those supplies. So I get that, but you know what? She said it here. She'll take a day off. She'll take a day off. She'll take time off. She'll unplug. She will do those things. But yes, a vacation is definitely necessary. So we're going to pray along with her that those volunteers will step up and step in and make it so it's seamless, so that they can take, some real time to just get away and know that everything at home is taken care of, because it is important. All right. Are there specific resources, mentors, or networks that have been instrumental in your journey as a full-time wreath maker?
Yes, yes, and yes. Lots of folks. I want to speak about more present day because it's been a journey. Other wreath makers on this platform, which who would have thunk that at the beginning of the year was truly my first live, and I was so unsure about it. Claudia, you have been instrumental in my journey. I will tell you that right up front. If it was not for Claudia, we would not be here today, because she's the one. I was watching her lives, and that's how I came to know her on this platform. And we just got to talking about lives, going lives, and she encouraged me in a positive way. You need a friend like that, somebody who says, why are you not doing that? But they mean it in a loving way. They listen, they pray for you, and they encourage you. So I would just say, have friends like that. Have friends. So Claudia, first and foremost, you're the reason we're on here today. Honestly.
Did not expect that.
Well, receive it, because it is true. Very, very inspirational to me. Very inspirational to me, not only on a business level, but just friendship. So find friends like that have your best interests at heart. Other wreath makers, oh my goodness. Guys, I can name a million. I'll name a few. Carnation Creations, Lindsay. Southern Owls, Courtney. You guys watch them too. I mean, I don't have favorites. I think they are all wonderful, and I mean that. But so many people on this platform that I have watched and that have encouraged me in ways, not only in wreath making, friends, just saying, hey, I'm a wreath maker too. And a story come up in their life, and you're like, how I can relate to that. So many people, honestly, but who comes to mind is you. Really.
You're precious to me, Misty. You have been such an incredible cheerleader in everyone's lives. Anytime anyone goes live, Misty's in there cheering you on. She may pass out a little bit, take a nap, come back. She may do those things, but she is also there encouraging, continuing the conversation, keeping us all going. And it happened to be a real talk that Misty was watching, and I forget who the other creator was that was on, but we were encouraging others to get out of their heads and get onto going live, because this screen is nothing to be afraid of. And the fear comes from not knowing who's on the other side of the screen. That is where the fear comes from. But honestly, guys, you will find your tribe based on your vibe. It's a fact. You will get your regular watchers. You will get people who are always encouraging you. And guess what? That block button, ask Misty about it. She's very familiar with that block button. She does not have time for any shenanigans that are not blessing her life. She will go and block that person. So just know that that is huge. Yes, that is one of her gifts. Your husband's saying one of your gifts is encouragement. She is a huge encourager. Absolutely, 100%. And that is, just know that that question was not asked to fish for compliments. Understand that I did not know Misty was going to go there. And she did get me choked up. And I did really good at not crying, but my nose is about to drip out of my face. So, but the thing is this is real. This is real. A friendship has been formed. When you are an authentic individual, when you truly want the best in people, people can see that in you. People can feel that from you. So understand that we encourage, Misty and I encourage people to find people that they feel that with, that they feel that bond with, that they can then be there for one another and encourage each other, because it's so important, so important. We will talk more about this and community in further down the line, but just know that we all need somebody that is our cheerleader, because I don't know about you guys, but my IRL, in real life friends, they They don't understand the love for ribbon or the obsession for ribbon. They don't understand why I have more flowers than freaking Michaels or Hobby Lobby. They don't understand that. We get it. We understand it. We know why. We just want to go and reach for what we want when we want it. That's why we have so much. But I say all of this to say that, what? You're gonna, oh, he just whispered, husbands sometimes don't get it either. That's literally what Kevin wanted to add to that. So thanks, husband. But it's true. Husbands sometimes don't get it either. That's why we invite you to bring your spouses into your world. Let them be part of this journey. I mean, Kevin just stuck his head in knowing he's going to have to edit this, which I'm not going to edit it out because you need to know the people behind the screen as well. Because just because we're here doesn't mean that there's not somebody else behind us going, we got you. We'll encourage you. We'll edit your videos. Kevin edits my videos. There's no way I could, like, I don't need to learn that. You already wanted to, you do it, honey. You do it. It's good. All right. So, long-term goals.
Long-term goals.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. One is YT channel. And I know that's maybe not long term, but truly it is for me. I want to be very successful at that. I'm a very driven person, so I will be very successful at that.
Yeah.
Teaching's not out of the question. I don't know that it would be something that somebody has to pay for, but more teaching videos and doing things like that, for sure, I can see that. More collaborations. I love collaborations. I am honored. I am so thankful for those. I would love to continue my relationships and expand on that as well.
Right.
I love where I am right now. I really do. And so I think that there is some beauty in that when you can just say, oh my goodness, I'm so thankful, Lord. Thank you for blessing the work of my hands. And I'm so happy right where I am. And so a lot of times I have to say, why do we have to worry about tomorrow? You know, within being smart about it. I truly am so content and so happy. But I would say for sure YouTube. Whoops,
but that is a good thing because a lot of us need to do that, guys. We don't know how long this app is going to be around. We don't. So we do have to have another way that we can stay with our people because you can go live on YouTube as well. I don't know if you guys know that you can watch people live on YouTube. So that's definitely a way to continue being connected. All right. So you choose. Shall we go the Etsy route or the community versus over competition?
You know what I'm going to pick. Community over competition. Let's go for it. Come on.
All right. So, all right. How do you define the concept of community over competition, especially when it comes to the wreath making business?
Great question. To me, competition is healthy. But let me elaborate a little bit more. A community is so much more important, okay? We can all be wonderful, talented wreath makers, all be successful. And you heard me say that, I'm going to repeat it again. We can all be talented, successful wreath makers. And still, I mean, there's competition. Have you been in a tennis shoe store? I'm assuming you have. Okay, look at all the tennis shoes. Have you been down a cereal aisle? Sure, there's lots of products to choose from. Friends, we don't have to be enemies because we're wreath makers and we do the same thing. In fact, it's the opposite. I promise that if you'll come together, love each other, support each other, help each other, your business will thrive even more. I am living proof of that. I will throw myself out there and tell you. What you can't do is try to blow out somebody else's candle or their light and think you're going to be successful. There's no room for that. None. That will not make you successful. That will be the opposite of success. So for me, community, what's that look like? Connected, loving each other, encouraging each other, being a cheerleader, coming alongside folks that are starting in something that you have already mastered, and you'll thrive. I can't say enough about it. Claudia, you know,
how do you prioritize that? How do you prioritize the community aspect over the competition aspect of it?
Oh, well, I'm going to go into Discord. You already know that. I'm going to talk about it. I told you that. I'm part of Claudia's crew. I was not the first to be part of Claudia's crew. I've not been there very long. Claudia, what, couple months?
Yeah.
Couple months now. I took time to pray on it, think about it, be watchful. That's just my personality. For me, how to do that is I'm linked in with an amazing group of folks on Discord, and Claudia started that with the help of a sweet friend, Grace. But truly, and Claudia has told me, shared with me that was given to her by God, and guys, it's thriving. It's thriving. It's growing. I was skeptical at first, but the way that I link in wreath making, community over competition, is through my friends that I have in my pocket. That's kind of our joke, but it really is true. Find people like that. Find people that are doing what you're doing. Maybe it's not Claudia's crew. Find some crew. Find somebody that will love you and support you because you need it. You need it. I cannot, and this is not a pitch for you to go and subscribe and do all that. That's a personal decision. I'm giving you my experience of how I have tied in what I do to community with strangers at first who are now like family to me. Truly, they're my friends. We share prayer requests on there. We talk real life things, hard conversations. We encourage each other. We teach each other. We cry together. We laugh together a lot, friends.
Yep.
It works. And we're all doing the same thing.
Yep.
So,
And that's the other part of it, guys, is we say community, right? And you're thinking to yourself, the experience you've had, maybe not so great. Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe you thought it was going to be one thing, but it really isn't. And you've been discouraged, right? Understand that there are going to be times where personalities, they just don't jive together. That doesn't mean you can't be respectful. That doesn't mean you can't learn. And that doesn't mean you can't be part of something that's bigger than just you and that person that you may not have great chemistry with. Guys, we're not all going to be the best of friends, period. That is just a fact. But there is something great about knowing that at any given point, at any given time, no matter what the question is, no matter how big or small the situation is, when I tell you a pocket full of friends, I am not kidding. We are coast to coast. We have people from the east all the way to the west coast, and we share the things. Like, for example, if there's a sale, everybody's going to know about it.
it's true.
Okay? You don't have to shop. I actually had a personal shopping experience with one of our sweet Discord members who walked me through my first purchase of Ferris silk ribbon. Okay? Oh, and Canada. Sorry, Angel. Didn't mean to.
That's right.
We do have a Canadian in the house. But just know that we are across North America. North America covers both, yes? No. North?
We're worldwide, people.
That's not what I mean. Hold on. Wait a second. Is North... No, that... Well, how do you include Canada in that? It's just part of the northern... Anyway, we're just here. But anyway... The reason why this existed, okay, the reason why, and I shared this with Misty before it even started, is because I feel that information, simple questions, you don't know what you don't know, should be free. Information like that should be free. I went and spun my wheels when I first started, not understanding terminology, where to look up stuff, how to look up stuff. I was looking up stuff wrong because I didn't know what to look up. But as soon as I knew the right terms, all of a sudden, boom, Google became my best friend. So we're trying to mentor each other. Somebody's going to have an answer. And guess what? If we don't, we have several other people helping us figure it out. It's not just one anymore. You're not just single anymore trying to figure it out. So that is why, I'm sorry, Shauna, I didn't mean to confuse you with the North America thing. I confused myself. That's why I stopped. But anyway, And Misty being a part of it and coming into it, I knew that she had prayerfully considered. I knew that it was like she supported my efforts. She prayed for me as well in this effort. But when you've been part of several groups and you've seen several groups and several things happen, there is a sense of, is this just going to be the same as everything else? And that's what I didn't want. I didn't want to create the same as everything else. I wanted a closer knit availability to one another. And we talk like this. We see each other on screen. Like this is how we have conversations, is we get to see each other. So this is the thing. Should you need a community, should you need a hand up to help guide you to the things that you don't know to create something that you want to create, reach out to somebody. Everybody that's in here that has crew next to their name, they are part of this crew. You can reach out to any of them. If you know somebody that's part of the crew that has crew next to their name, reach out to them. Say, hey, tell me more about it. Is this something that's going to work for me? Because you know what? It may not. It may not be something that works for you. But just know that we want you to feel included by saying this is available to you. This is open to anyone and everyone that is pursuing wreath making, business, separate words. So if you're in business, if you're a small business, but you don't make wreaths, but you make attachments, or you can even make tumblers. It doesn't matter what you make. You're still in small business. It relates to everyone that's trying to do it out here in the big bad world. So anyway, just know that we want you to feel like you have a community that supports you. All right? So that's all we're going to say about that. We're going to get back to Misty. Okay. So competition being healthy, you mentioned that. Talk to us more about what that means. Competition being healthy means what?
It makes me keep my skills sharp, always learning. I can see friends. I don't copy them. I can put my own spin on their designs. It helps me step outside of my comfort zone, out of the box. If I see someone make a beautiful tobacco basket, and I've never done that before, hello, I might like to try that and put my own spin on it. It's very healthy to have competition. We need it, not just in wreath making, but in life in general. So I encourage it and welcome it. That doesn't mean you have to be nasty about it or it's a bad thing. It's actually very healthy to have that. It helps you become a better designer. It helps you to critique skills. You can gain pearls sometimes. You can definitely learn from your competition for sure. And a lot of times, if you're friends like we are in Claudia's crew, they'll say, hey, I want to show you how to do that. Like, you can learn how to do this. Look, or here's a little tip. That's how I did that. For example, somebody helped me with attaching the popular gems. You know what I'm talking about, to go in the swags and wreaths that are just gorgeous. I didn't know how to do that. And they taught me how to put a cable mount on the back of that. Hello, I should have thought of that. But really, I hadn't, and I was struggling, and they taught me how to do it. So it's very healthy to have competition. It really is. So don't think of it as a bad thing. Think of it as a good thing.
Well, I like what Jesse just put. He put competitive is greater than competition. That is a different mindset.
Yes.
That is a different mindset. Absolutely. Absolutely. I get that.
Welcome it and take the challenge, really. Just let it challenge you to be better at what you do.
So here's a question again that if you need a moment to think about, I'm really okay with it, but I do like your perspective on these things. How do you believe wreath makers can work together to address common challenges or issues faced within the industry?
Talk to each other. Be honest. I had an honest conversation. Once again, that's why I'm sitting here today. I had an honest conversation with Claudia because I brought up the topic of, I think it's very much a clique. And in my mind, I thought that it was very much a clique. It was not. That was my own issue for thinking that way. That was not truth at all. That was not really getting out of my comfort zone to know people, to tear the walls down and realize that they can be your friends even though they do the same thing. Um, so yeah, I would definitely say that is make sure that you're being honest with that. And but for me, that's an example. It's just making sure that I was the problem and
Well,
doing that self analysis and being real with yourself. And
being self-aware, being self-aware and being honest with yourself really brings out the beauty of what that can entail, because we can get stuck, really stuck in our own heads and in our thoughts and in our heart illnesses, I should say. But our experiences don't negate anything. It's stepping into something that may be scary, because being honest with yourself, guys, is scary. It's like when you have to look in that mirror and be like, okay, Claudia, you need to be honest with yourself right now. And like Misty said, the problem is me. A lot of times the things that we project onto other people, you need to look at yourself and why that bothers you, so that you can be honest with yourself and work that out and work that through. We're all about therapy in Discord too. I'm just kidding. No, none of us are therapists. We use laugh therapy, honestly. We use laugh therapy to get us through our stuff.
yeah,
Well, I'm glad that you just, I mean, literally, you know yourself well enough to answer these questions like boom. But understand that you can pause. It's really okay. So in that, how do you support wreath makers while still maintaining a healthy competitive mindset?
honestly, for me, it's different because I'm just not fearful. I'm truly not afraid of that. That doesn't mean that, oh my goodness, they're such talented wreath makers, over the top designs, amazing, but I'm just really confident in my skills. Um, I'm not better than anyone else, but
Yeah.
also just realizing that you're, I'm going to use something a friend told me, you are an expert in your field. So just having that confidence and not, like I said, healthy competition, but just not letting that get the best of you. There's so many wreath makers I could say that, wow, that design is just like stunning, amazing. Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. So is your design. So is your design. You made it. And just concentrating on that. I think that ties in a little bit, Claudia, going back to just not looking around so much, believing in yourself. Nobody else is going to believe in you. So you have to learn to believe in yourself. And if you need help to learn how to do that, that's okay. I mean, that's not something sometimes that comes natural. Even for me, I mean, you've encouraged me before to say, hey, yeah, you know what you're doing. You can say that you're an expert in something. And I really pondered on that. But just believing in yourself first and foremost works out all the kinks with that,
Well,
honestly.
think about professional. What makes people professional, right? Because they're professing it, or because they are doing it consistently. Like, what makes you a professional? So yeah, you do need to look at yourself and say, because I am successful at what I am doing, I am now an expert at it because it's successful.
Right. And I often say experts learning from experts. I
Yeah.
learn something new every single day. I don't ever want to not learn something new. I can sharpen my skills every single day. So,
So with the community over competition, and I know, like I said, I know that community can be a bad word for a lot of people. I know that people struggle in understanding what community means. But the truth of the matter is that if you think of the word commit, you commit to something. If you commit to yourself that you're not going to look at somebody else and say, I can't believe fill in the blank. How dare they fill in the blank? I made that first fill in the blank. All of those things that can fester bad emotions towards another individual when we're really all out here. How many different ways can you stick a flower into a grapevine? How many different ways can you fold a piece of mesh and stick it into a wireframe? I mean, these are all facts, right? So instead of having that mindset, have somebody that you can talk to about it first. I mean, don't tell everybody, but have somebody that you can trust enough to say, I really struggle with fill in the blank, so that they can give you another way of looking at it. Have another way of looking at it. When you're struggling with somebody, when you're having an issue with somebody because you feel like everything they do is copying me, we've all been there. We've all had that. We might even have done that unintentionally. Somebody inspires us and we're like, do me a favor. Be the loudest clapper for that person. Be the biggest cheerleader for that person, because that in turn changes the dialogue.
Absolutely.
It changes the dialogue.
And think about it, copying, whether you want to, isn't that a huge form of flattery?
It is huge.
No, think about it that way when we think somebody liked that so much they wanted to do it. Now, do I encourage you doing exactly the same? No, not unless the person tells you that you can. A lot of times I tell people, please, by all means, if I'm telling you and I'm the one that made it, do that, then you have permission, right? But like you said, there's only so many ways to put florals in. I mean, I can make an all sunflower wreath, so can you. Good.
Right.
I hope you're successful at it.
Exactly, but that's kind of the point, and it's kind of silly. Several of the, and I'm not going to say guru because that's what my friend says all the time, but several of the people who have been doing this several years, a very long time, have said it's origami, it's technique and talent, it's doing things different. Like I've asked Misty, Misty, I'm a rule bender, breaker. Like there's just certain times that I'm like, I understand the concept, but I want to do it this way. And that should be okay. Understand that it's like teaching techniques, right? With teaching techniques, you're always going to be given the formula for it. But as a chemist, you can also change that formula for yourself.
Make it yours. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had people reach out to me and say, did you know that person, they made your wreath? I'm like, that is wonderful. Good for them. And they kind of look at me and I'm like, I do not waste my energy on worrying about stuff like that.
Exactly.
It's not worth it.
And I love that about you. I love that about you, because the truth of the matter is, like we've said, if somebody can be inspired, especially with florals, I mean, how hard is it really to see somebody's design and be like, oh, I really like that, and then you go and try it and it looks exactly the same, because guess what? You use the same material. It's just going to look the same. It's just going to look the same. But at the same time, you have to look at it as a compliment. You have to look at it as I inspired somebody. That should be big. My goal, my personal goal, and I know Misty, that's why people come to you and say, hey, somebody made your wreath, is because I want to have designs that when people look at it, they can say, oh, that's Claudia's door decor design.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? Because there are several designers out there that you look at their design and you're like, that's so-and-so's design. Right?
You can make it, go for it. You guys hear me. If you can make it, go for it. So
absolutely.
Put your spin on it.
Grace just said, unless somebody uses your picture as their own. Yes, I do not encourage that. That's different.
Take your own pictures, friends.
Make your own thing and take a picture of your thing and then put it out there. So yeah, that's very true. Does anybody have any questions for Misty about competition, community, anything based on that? Because if not, we're going to move into another area that she's been very successful in, and that's Etsy. She's been very successful with her Etsy shop way before ever being on TikTok. So we're going to touch a little bit on that. Yashira, I have no words for you. Just know that I love you. All right.
While that we're doing that, just in closing that up, is be kind to each other.
Yes.
We live in a world where it's just so dark and so awful. Be kind to each other. And if you can't be nice, just be quiet. Really and truly. So that's all I'll say on that.
So we got no questions, just love that I get to know her. She's an amazing human. Yes, Misty is an amazing human. All right, so your husband has a question. Jesse has a question. What would you say is the biggest thing you've taken from being in community or of
Oh,
wreath makers?
oh man, just a level of understanding, of friendship. Nobody knows a wreath maker like a wreath maker. And behind our wreaths is so much more. It's just wonderful human beings. So I would just say friendship. I love you guys. I really do. Like when I say that, I really have grown to love you guys. And especially those that I'm so connected with in the crew. I keep going back to that, but like I really feel like I'd see you. If I seen you in person, I'd just come up and hug you, and it wouldn't be awkward. That's what I've taken from that. It's just genuine friendships that were built over rethinking. That's what I've taken.
Jesse's gonna make me cry. He says I can tell a difference in the last month.
Oh, absolutely. You guys, we talk a lot about things, but it's really true. And I'm very open and honest. Discord and the community crafty crew, you guys have made such a difference in my life. It was something that was a void in my life. It was something that was missing. You guys have to realize I went from having patience, from being around, other coworkers, staff members, etc., to being in a wreath room by myself. And so just the love and support that you guys have offered me, oh, thank you. I mean, a heartfelt thank you. I say we all need help in different ways. I needed you guys so much. So, yeah, honestly, it's made a huge difference in my life. So,
I
thank
love
you.
that.
And thank you, Claudia, for listening.
I was given no choice. I was getting woken up in the middle of the night. Build it, build it, build it. Like it was get out of your own head and just do it. But I didn't know how. Like I was like, I don't want it to be another Facebook group. I I don't want it to be like I knew all the things I didn't want it to be. I just didn't know what it was going to look like. And then it all came together. So yes, so grateful. So grateful. And again, Misty, thank you for joining us. All right. So now we're going to jump into some Etsy pearls. Now, mind you, she has been very successful on Etsy, but she also has taken time to get coaching. She's taken time to learn Etsy. She's taken a lot of time to invest in her business. So let me just start by saying that. So let's start with how you started selling on Etsy. So how did that all start?
Here's a giggle for you guys. I started my Etsy shop in 2020. I abandoned it once I started. I listed a few things and I thought, oh, I've got this cake. Like, I'm going to start having sales. Okay, if you listen to anybody that knows anything about Etsy, that's not true. So go ahead and scratch that. That doesn't happen. Okay, fast forward. Came back to it with time and started putting in the effort every day. Okay, there we go with that word again, but do you really want this? And it made all the difference. So I always say I started out the wrong way and learned what not to do to learn how to do it the right way. So,
So
with Etsy, go ahead.
no, so I was going to say, so that is a misconception that people have when they first open their Etsy shop is that there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to post something and all of a sudden somebody sees it and they're going to buy it because it's beautiful. Not taking anything away from all those things being true. However, that is not how Etsy works.
There
So
is.
let's share about the Etsy, the reason why you have to touch it on the daily. Go ahead and
There's
share about that.
just like with anything, there's an algorithm. We hear that word a lot, but it's really true of Etsy. And Etsy likes for you, and you can listen to their panel who works for them, to get confirmation on this, but they want you to be doing something in your shop every day. Now, let me pause there and give you a little pearl. That does not mean go in and change your titles every day, friends. Leave those titles alone. They need to sit there for a good month or so because that's how long it takes for that algorithm to start picking up those titles. So you're not going to know if they're working or not if you're changing them every day. And more importantly, the algorithm's not going to pick you up because you are changing them every day. So when I say touch your shop, it's different ways that you can do that. It could be that you tweak a photo. It could be that you go in and change one word in your About You section. It could be that you change a word in your description titles, the topics over on the left-hand side. It's those things that you can do that make the difference. Creating a new listing counts as touching your Etsy shop. Renewing a listing that has expired counts as touching your Etsy shop. Not messing with those titles. So don't do that. Learn from me. You don't do that. Let them sit there for a while. Now,
So that is a big pearl, just so you
yes,
know.
absolutely. And if they have sat there for a month or so and you're like, wow, I'm hearing crickets, I'm getting no views, not even sales, but no views, then perhaps tweak it a little bit and see what happens. But leave those alone.
So, how important is branding and presentation for Etsy? How important is it that you're taking good pictures? How important is it that your shop looks good?
Our friends shopping on Etsy cannot touch your products. All they have to go by is your photography skills and your video. Now, don't let that intimidate you. That just means that you need to have high quality pictures, good lighting. Outdoors is a perfect way to take pictures, not when the sun is beaming on on your item, but when the sun's coming up or as it's setting, it's a great time to go outside and get pictures. Making sure that there's nothing else in the background that's going to distract the customer's eye. For example, I wouldn't put my wreath back here with all these flowers and think I'm going to get a good picture. It just doesn't work. Making sure that you're using all 10 photo slots, friends. There's 10 for a reason. Making sure you're doing a video with each listing. And you've got to think about it. When you go into a craft store, you have the ability to take those products off the shelf, hold them, touch them, feel them, see them. Our customers don't. So I can tell you 100% your photographs and your video are imperative to your success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like she said, the distraction thing is real. The distraction thing is real. So how you take pictures is very real. So somebody in the chat asked, is Etsy better than having your own website, your own page?
I have a story about that too. I started a website first. Who does that? I had no friends. I had no followers. I had no audience. I had no customers. I'm going to tell you this, that in my opinion, it is better for you to start selling on a platform such as Etsy. And then when you get consistent sales and they're coming in, if you are interested in shifting and going to your own website, once you have established that, and once you have an audience on all of the social media platforms, go for it. You got to think about it though. Part of what Etsy does, even though there's fees to sell there, they drive traffic. That's part of what they do for you. In addition to that, you should be driving traffic on all of your platforms. There's another pearl to your Etsy shop. So in my opinion, Etsy is a great place to start. And then once you have the audience and the sales consistently, then do your website if that's something you're interested in.
So you just shared the most effective ways to drive sales to your Etsy shop, because believe it or not, you are the one that's driving those sales to begin with before you get into that algorithm. Because I was told that realistically, for you to be doing everything right on Etsy, so filling in everything that Etsy gives you to fill in, right? If you're touching it daily, meaning if you're a wreath maker, you should be listing something pretty much daily if you can, or do what Misty just shared with me, put it in a few different areas in your Etsy, list the same thing. It's okay, to put them in with, okay, this could be summer, this could also be a gift for her, this could also be, she shared those things. So not knowing that you can do several, especially if you're able to make more than one. Multiples matter. That's what I've learned. Multiples matter.
He loves multiples. And if that's not you, friends, maybe that's not the platform for you. I'm going to tell you that majority, not all, of very successful full-time wreath makers list multiples in their shop. That means I have, for example, right now, one of my best sellers is wildflower wreath. My friends know, they have watched me make this many times. That means I have made that wreath over and over and over and over again, but it's consistent sales. It's in the algorithm. It gets a bestseller badge. It's there. The work is done, and you just make it over and over. If that's not you, That's fine. You can keep doing one of a kinds, but to really get in that algorithm and to get everything noticed, I would say do multiples.
Right. So that may mean that you get more than one of that sign. That you get more than one of that sign if you're putting signs in your designs, right? Making something that you can make multiples of because either A, it's easy, or B, you can make multiples of it. So definitely get into that algorithm that way. So we have two questions in the chat. The first one being, um, okay, so Crystal says, do you touch each listing or just the page?
Just the page. You don't
Just
have to go in and touch each listing. Just make sure you're touching your page every day.
And then
Great.
another question is, what do you say when others say wreaths are oversaturated and hard to sell?
Let's say that's bogus. I would say you haven't found your ideal customer. I would say you haven't done your homework and you're not putting in the effort and you're making an excuse. And that's the hard truths. I will love you, but I'm respectfully going to say all of those things to you. That's not true. Now, does that mean everybody loves the platform and wants to sell on it? No, there are very successful wreath makers that are my friends that I love that have made a choice not to do that. And that is totally fine. That's your business decision if you don't want to. But I'm going to tell you it will work. Put in the work, do it, stay at it. And I'm not saying stay at it a month or 2 months or 6 months, but really stay at it and really work on it, and you will be successful.
Bethany, drive down the street. Almost every house has one on their door. That means that people are buying them. That's what that means to me. That doesn't mean it's oversaturated. Because that may be that one neighborhood, just FYI. It's not every neighborhood because there are several neighborhoods you can drive down and not see any wreaths on people's doors. So just be thinking about that. So Michelle of Creek Road Designs TX asked, do you advertise on Etsy?
Absolutely not. Never have a day in my life have I ran an ad, nor do I plan to. I do push on every single social media platform I have. There is a program on Etsy, hopefully you're all familiar with it, called Share and Save that they launched. It's a win-win because you can share that link on your product and save on the fees that Etsy charges you by using that link. Anytime I post on any platform, I'm directing to that link. And I encourage you, friends, to make sure you're using that. For example, wildflower wreath, I put a picture of my wildflower wreath up with a link, share and save. It serves purposes because your customers can easily tap on that link and they're right in your shop. The beauty of it is once they're in your shop, there's other things they can see too. They might buy a bow that corresponds with that. Make sure you're using those share and save links and promote yourself. Etsy's going to do it too, but make sure you're doing it as well.
Right. So another question from somebody in the chat, Shauna asks, how about sales? Do you run sales?
Sometimes if I have something that's set there for a little while and I just want to move it, or popular times like a Labor Day sale or a Black Friday sale, sure, I can do that if there's inventory I want to move. Not often. Not often. Fortunately for me, the wreaths do move on their own, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with offering a sale, especially during those popular times when people are looking for them.
And let me reiterate, Bethany wants everybody to understand that's not what she meant. She meant that everybody's going to buy a wreath. Gotcha, Bethany. I understand now. Thanks for clearing that up. But yeah, everybody will buy one, and that's basically the same concept. Is everybody will buy a wreath. I mean, it's one of those things. You're welcoming people into your home. You know, it's one of those people like to have a welcoming home and having a beautiful wreath on your door. You know, people like hearing, hey, I like your wreath. You know, I mean, it's just one of those things.
You know, life might be chaotic inside, but let the outside of my home look put together. We all
Right.
live in that world, right? So they want that beautiful entryway, even though inside the kids are running around, there's dishes in the sink, dinner needs to be made, laundry's in the basket. You get the gist. So,
All right. So, what are some common mistakes that new Etsy sellers should avoid?
common mistakes. One mistake that a new Etsy seller makes is not putting a picture of themselves in their shop. It's huge. You got to think most of your customers are strangers. So they need to have that know, like, and trust factor. If all I'm staring at when I go to your Etsy shop is a little box, you guys have seen it with the gray little figurine. No, they want to see a picture of you. They want to know that they can trust you. Another mistake that I see a lot of times is there's no description. Who are you? What are you selling? What do you specialize in? How can you help me as a customer? So make sure you're filling in your descriptions. That is super duper important. And just to reiterate, another common mistake that I see is not using all of your photo slots. I cannot emphasize that enough, and not doing a video. I get the question a lot of, how in the world do you take 10 photos of one wreath? Let me explain to you how I do it. I will step back from the wreath and take a picture. I will step closer to the wreath and take a picture. I will zoom in on my bow and take a picture. I will zoom in on my floral and take a picture. I will take a picture on a black door. I will take a picture on a white door. I will take a picture on a white background. I will take a picture on a brick wall. Are you guys following me on these pictures?
Yeah.
It's pretty simple when you start doing that. So those are just some common mistakes. It's making sure you look legit, that they can trust that they're buying from somebody that's going to send them the wreath.
Right, because again, like people have shared, taking people's pictures and posting them as your own, um, that's kind of a scamish type thing to do. So if you're not providing that customer with the exact item that you're posting a picture of, that's not cool either.
And then one more thing that I'm going to tell you, make sure you are shipping your items on time. If you ever want to get into a bad situation with your shop, start making mistakes with shipping. Make sure that if you tell your customers that that wreath is going to arrive within 5 to 7 business days, that you're getting that wreath out within 5 to 7 business days. Etsy will give you grace maybe one time, maybe, but they will start to what we call ding your shop. That means you're going to be in trouble with Etsy, and it won't be long before they will shut you down for not keeping your word to your customers.
Because the reason why we get to be, now understand, we get to be on this platform. It's a privilege to be on the Etsy platform. I know a lot of people don't talk about it that way, but think about it. I forget how many of the millions/billions of customers that they have already. But the reason why Etsy has that reputation is because they don't only protect the sellers, they protect the buyers. So that's where they get their reputation from. And you, as a brand new seller, need to basically tell Etsy, I'm real, I'm here, I'm in it for the long run, right? So you have to build that with Etsy as well. So speaking about that though, is how do you stay updated on changes to Etsy's platforms and policies? Like their policies, when something changes or whatever, how do you stay updated on that?
Etsy offers forums to all of those that choose to sell on their platform. It's a great way to be in Etsy community. That's literally what it's called. It'll tell you all of your updates, all of the latest and greatest, all the things they're launching. For example, you guys remember gift mode was huge around Super Bowl time. They started pushing that. It was the first time Etsy ever had a commercial. Love it or not, that's not up for debate. The point is, that's how you stay up with the news. What better way to learn than from the people working for Etsy themselves? So make sure you're involved in the forums and the community board. It's located in your dashboard. Also, lower down on the dashboard on the main screen, it'll tell you what's new. Read articles. Do that. Friends, those are actually who you have chosen to sell on their platform. They're telling you what they're doing and what they're looking for from you as a seller. So make sure you're doing that. Also, I'm going to go back and say that there's resources that are free of charge. If you just type it in and ask, there's some great resources there. People that are selling on the platform that ask them questions. See if they're successful. I always say, make sure you're taking advice from someone who is literally living it and doing it. Be careful who you take advice from, and then listen to them. Ask them questions about it, just like we're doing today.
Exactly. And that's part of why we have created that community on Discord. Is these are the kinds of conversations, guys, we have on the daily. Like we have these kind of conversations on the daily of, hey, did you know? Hey, did you read? Hey, you know what you could do differently that's worked for me? These are the kinds of conversations that we are having on Discord so that you, as a new or seasoned wreath maker, seller on an online platform, or any business, honestly, it's so much business related stuff, but we do get to know each other's personal stuff too because we're human beings and we need to connect on many levels. But to have that resource, to have that ability, to have conversations with other people that are doing the same thing, we might have missed something. We might have not seen something. Something may have rolled out that was brand new that, hey, we didn't catch yet. You have that resource and ability to be shown or to see things that you need to see based on what's changed and what's different. So that is huge. So Joan says it is a business. Run your wreath business as a business. Hallelujah. So true. That's fact all the way around. All right, Misty, we have 5 minutes left.
Where'd our time go?
We could literally talk for another hour or two easily. But if there are any questions that you have for Misty based on anything that we have shared here, whether it be her nonprofit, go ahead and share again what that is for those that join late.
Yeah, it is Dream Align Ministries, DreamAlign. We're located in Graham, North Carolina, so you can check us out. We do have internet stuff, a little web page there, but in saying that, make sure you get involved with someone. We've talked about that. If you're just tuning in, go back and watch, but help others. But it's Dream Align Ministries.
So we talked about that being her heart. Her nonprofit is big time a part of Misty, and it's part of who she is, and she loves her ministry. That will always be at the top before her business, believe it or not. That comes before her business. She shared about how she works with her food pantry, how she collects and rescues food from grocery stores that are throwing it away, that she then takes it and feeds 400 to 500 families a month, right? It's a month, right? Yeah. So these are all things, guys. We will have this entire interview and time with Misty on YouTube for you guys to go rewatch, and be sure that you do, because like I said, to know Misty is to love her. You get to know her as a person, and she is as real as they come. If you want honest answers, she will always gracefully ask you, are you sure you want my honest opinion? Because she gives it to you straight. She is not a sugarcoater. She believes in telling people the truth when they ask. So Misty is one of the people that you definitely want to have in your corner, cheering you on. And again, you can support her here on TikTok by watching her Tuesdays at 12 or 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. So I have to remember that, because I'm thinking 11:30 and I'm always late because it's supposed to be 10:30 my time. So it's a mess. It's a mess. This different coast, time zone things. It's a mess. But you want her to sing? Okay. we're gonna go ahead and let her sing the song, but we have to tell the story before she sings the song. Several people have talked about the song. They wanted to remind you of it because this is real, and you don't have to do it. I'll leave that entirely up to you. But oftentimes, when either on Discord or I'm live, honey is used between me and my husband. The word honey, we call each other honey. So there's a song that is sung in Misty's head, and she sang it to me on Discord before, but she sings this song anytime we refer to honey. So go right ahead, friend, sing your song.
You get a line, I get a pole, honey. You get a line, I get a pole, babe. You get a line, I get a pole. We'll go down to the crawdad hole, honey, babe, be mine. That is right.
Oh my gosh.
And Claudia just loves that song, guys. So
not a fan. And the worst part of it is she's not the only one that does it anymore. There are several people now that do it. So yeah, thank Andy Griffith, says Jesse. Yeah, thank Andy Griffith. But what's funny about that, guys, is these inside jokes. And so I'm sitting here on TikTok live, and as soon as they hear the word honey, all of a sudden it's her and several other people typing it in the chat, and I'm like, I can't look.
So when
I
you go
just
on
can't love.
Claudia's live and you see that, now you can sing along too, and just send her the love in the comments.
It's so funny. It's so funny. But yes, friendships have definitely grown and been had. And we're all planning trips on seeing each other so we can hug each other's necks. That's a big thing too. We definitely want to meet and be in each other's presence because we know that these bonds are real. These relationships are real. The community is real. So Misty, thank you so much for taking time. Jesse, thank you for encouraging her because I'm sure you had a part in this that she was able to join me today. She did take time out of the food pantry in order to be here. So thank you to all the volunteers that stepped in and allowed this time with you. And thank you again for everything. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today and have a wonderful weekend. It's a long weekend. Do something fun. And as Misty would say, be kind to each other. Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye, Misty.
Bye, Claudia.